Somewhere right now, there is a project manager rewriting requirements documents. There is an operations analyst running stakeholder workshops. There is a finance professional mapping out business processes end to end. Every single one of them is doing the work of a business analyst. None of them have the title, and most of them have no idea how close they already are. Hi, I'm Jules. I've spent over a decade as a business analyst and senior business analyst in finance and fintech. I know this field from the inside, the interviews, the stakeholder rooms, the requirements sessions, the right moments where BAs make the difference between a project that lands and one that doesn't. And over the past few years, running Solstice HQ, I've worked with professionals from all kinds of backgrounds who wanted to make this transition. Operations managers, finance analysts, project coordinators, administrators, people who had been quietly doing BA work for years and had no idea how to prove it. This video is for you because the BA career you want is closer than you think. And the biggest thing standing between you and it is not experience, it's positioning. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 3 things you need to make a successful transition into business analyst, even if you've never held a BA title. First, I'm going to show you how to find a BA experience you already have and probably don't know how to name. Second, I'll show you what credentials actually matter and which ones are just noise. And third, the part most people never get to, I'll show you how to position yourself so that when a hiring manager reads your resume, they see a business analyst, not a career changer. Stay through to the third part. That's the one that makes everything else work. But first, I want to address something because I know that some of you are thinking, hey, Jules, I don't have business analyst experience. I've never done a BA job before. How am I supposed to apply for a role I've never done? Stay with me because the answer is going to change how you see your entire career history. Let me tell you what a business analyst actually does. A BA gathers and documents requirements. They facilitate conversations between stakeholders and technical teams. They map processes, they identify gaps, and translate what the business needs into something a project team can build. Now, have you ever been the person in a meeting who made sure everyone left with clear actions and a shared understanding of what needed to happen? Have you ever documented a process because no one else has written it down? Have you ever been the bridge between a department that needed something and a team that needed to build it? That is BA work. It might have been called something else on your job description. It might have been 20% of a role that had a completely different title, but the function, the skill is the same. Here's the exercise I want you to do after this video. Go back through your last 3 roles, and for each one, ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Did you ever gather, document, or clarify requirements for a project or process? 2. Did you ever facilitate a meeting, workshop, or working session where you helped different people reach a shared decision? 3. Did you ever map, analyze, or redesign a process, even informally? If the answer to any of this is yes, and I suspect it is, you already have BA experience. You just need to learn how to name it. Now, experience alone won't get you the interview. Here's the part that most transition guides completely skip. Credentials that actually matter. Let's talk about credentials because this is where a lot of career changers waste months and money on wrong things. Here's the truth about BA certification. A certification alone won't get you a job. But the right certification combined with your reposition experience tells a hiring manager that you're serious, that you have invested in this transition, because you didn't just decide to be a business analyst because it sounded interested. You have studied the discipline. You've studied the credentials that carry real weight in finance and tech BA roles are 1. The BCS International Diploma in Business Analysis. This is recognized widely in the UK and globally. 2. The IIBA Entry Certificate in Business Analysis. This is the ECBA, designed specifically for people new to the field and for those targeting fintech or banking environments. Even understanding Agile and Scrum at a practical level, not just in theory. What you do not need before applying for your first BA role is a CBAP. That's a senior level certification that requires years of BA hours of work to qualify for. I see career changers putting up their job search because they're waiting to have the right certification at the wrong level. Here's the credential sequence that works. Get your ECBA or BCS foundation first. Use the process of studying for your BA to build your vocabulary because that vocabulary is what makes your resume and your interviews land. Then pursue the next level once you're in the role. The goal is not to be perfect before you start. The goal is to be credible enough to get the interview and good enough in the room to get the offer. By the way, I put together a BA transition toolkit that walks you through exactly how to audit your existing experience, map it to BA competencies, and identify the right certification path for your background. It's completely free. The link is below this video. Grab it before we get to part 3, because what I'm about to share will make a lot of sense once you've done that audit. Now, here is part 3. And I want you to pay close attention because this is the step that separates the people who get BA interviews from the people who keep getting ignored. When most people transition into BA, they write their resume like an apology. They list everything they've ever done. They use vague language like supported, assisted, involved in. And at the top of their resume, they write something like motivated professional seeking to transition into business analysis. That one phrase, seeking to transition, signals to every hiring manager that you're not yet a business analyst. And in a competitive market, that is enough to move your CV to the bottom of the pile. Here is the positioning shift. Stop writing your resume as a career changer. Start writing it as a BA who has been doing BA work under a different title. That means your summary does not lead with what you used to. It leads with what you offer as a BA. Business analyst with 7 years experience in financial services, operations, specializing in process analysis, requirements documentation, and cross-functional stakeholder engagement. Does that feel like a stretch? It shouldn't. If you've been in financial services operations for 7 years and you've done any of the work we talked about in part 1, that summary is accurate. That is your translation. The second part of this positioning shift is your language. On your resume and your LinkedIn, you need to speak business analysis. Not I improved the process. Instead, I mapped and redesigned the end-to-end onboarding workflow, reducing processing time by 30%. Not I ran meetings. Instead, I facilitated cross-departmental workshops to elicit and document business requirements for a CRM implementation. Not I worked with IT. Instead, I acted as a liaison between business stakeholders and the development team, translating requirements into user stories and acceptance criteria. This language is learnable, and once you learn it, your existing experience becomes BA experience. Your resume becomes a BA resume, and your interviews becomes conversations about competence, not explaining a career change. Before I close, I want to answer the question I get most often from people at exactly this stage of their journey. And I want to be honest with you because I think you deserve a straight answer. How long does it actually take to transition into BA if I start now? The honest answer, it depends on 3 things. First, how transferable your existing experience is. 2, how quickly you can acquire and apply the BA language and credentials, and how strategically you approach your job search, not how many applications you send. I've seen professionals with adjacent experience make this transition in 3 to 4 months while they had the right positioning, the right credential, and a targeted approach. I've also seen people spend a year applying with a generic resume and a vague LinkedIn and getting nowhere, not because they were not that qualified, but because their materials were not telling the right story. The transition itself is not the hard part. The hard part is doing it with strategy instead of just effort. And that is exactly what the structured program is designed to give you. If you're ready to make this transition seriously, strategically, with support, I want to invite you to join the waitlist for FORE. FORE is Solstice HQ's structured BA transition program. It is built for exactly the person I've been talking to in this video. The professional who has the skills, who knows they're ready, and just need the roadmap, the credentials, and the positioning to walk into a BA interview with confidence. The link to join the waitlist is below this video. Cohort spaces are limited, and waitlist members get priority access and early bird pricing. If this video was useful to you, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps this reach someone else who needs it. And subscribe because next week I'm going deeper into exactly how to rewrite your resume for a BA transition with before and after examples from real profiles. That one goes live on Friday. I'm Jules Ijere, and this is Solstice HQ. You've already been doing this work. Now let's make sure the world knows about it.